Okay, go ahead.
All right, everybody. We are back with another episode of Wealth for the Culture. It is your host, Ollie Brady. And this week, I got a lady boss coming on the episode, man. Christian. I met her, talking about getting in the rooms, met her few months ago, probably 3-4 months ago. Bosses and Brunch. As y'all know, it's like a reoccurring theme. I done got somebody on here for Bosses and Brunch, I feel like 10 times at this point. But we always talk about getting in the room, meeting people you never know you're going to come across. Came across her. I linked up with her. Got to talk about what she does. She does a little bit of everything. I'm going to let her kind of go into what all she does. She got businesses, out here running it up, real estate. Still work regular job too. So, I love to see people that's out here just grinding, making it happen, getting it. But enough about all that. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
All right, now, usually how I start these episodes off, I like to dive into everybody's background, familiarize the audience if they don't happen to know you. I mean, if you don't, you might be living under a rock, but that's on you. So can you just kind of give your background, how you got to be the young mogul?
Not a mogul yet, but so I'm Christian on Twitter, Chocolate Rain, Meredith Gray. Everybody call me Meredith. I just accept it now. But so I am an attorney by trade. Went to law school, got my MBA, graduated from law school, started working at Merrill Lynch. I was a financial advisor, worked in wealth management, working with high net worth individuals and businesses, pretty much advising them on different financial strategies and helping them grow their wealth and protect their assets. Kind of pivoted from that. I fell in love with the asset protection component of the role, but I did not like the sales part. So I worked there a couple years, graduated from their program that they have. So anyone who does not know, which most people don't, so financial advisors, if you go through like a brokerage such as Merrill, which is one of top brokerages globally in the world, they have programs that they put people through to teach them how to, just everything that's all encompassing with financial advising, not necessarily the products and services themselves, but just business development and various components of that nature. And so knowing me and my background, which is primarily legal, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I loved helping. I love working with clients, but I love working on the back end more and being less client facing. So I pivoted to a more of a risk management role where I just work strictly with businesses instead of individuals. And I kind of do more, it kind of aligns better with my legal background, which is, more research and writing and analyzing and advising from that standpoint. So I love working with businesses as my clients instead of individuals. I know my personality. So I kind of like detected that early on in my career. It's like, I kind of prefer to work with the businesses because although you're interacting and communicating with an individual, they're operating on behalf of the business. So it's not personal. It's not, oh, I'm investing in my personal assets or anything like that. It's I'm working on behalf of this company or this business, and we're doing what's best for the business, regardless of how I or you feel. It's about what's best for the business itself. So that's pretty much how I got to the role that I'm in now, which is assistant vice president for compliance and corporate governance. I work for a fintech company, and I primarily work with private equity clients and in companies who are starting brokerages, and they primarily want to get into the whole crypto space. So they're companies who want to start allowing people to invest with crypto and things like that, which is a new and emerging kind of space in regards to like financial and like being more like on a commercial level, if that makes sense. Like, we know crypto has been around for a long time, but as far as it being like mainstream where you can go into a bank and use crypto to do anything, we're kind of going into that. So I'm very excited about being able to help be a part of just like everything that's going on with that. With the regulations are coming, so I'm kind of very excited about being kind of like in the forefront of that. There's not many people that's in that space because again, we've seen crypto go from this black dark web type of what is crypto, what is Bitcoin? Oh my God, it's illegal, it's this, is that. To now it's like, okay, no, this is really something we need to pay attention to. Okay, how can we incorporate this into our business and like really staying on top of what's going on. Like every single day we see in financial and technology news, like there's a new development. So I'm very excited like about how my career has pivoted and the path that it's on. So that's where I'm at right now. Like as far as like that's like my 9 to 5. That's what I do every single day.
No,
Tell
you gotta
businesses
tell
what to
everybody
do. The short
everything.
version.
No, you gotta tell everybody
The
everything. You gotta
short
tell
version,
people
I tell
about the.
businesses what to do.
No, all right. Now tell people about your. Nah, see, she over here being modest and stuff. Like she don't have a lot going. Like tell people about the business you got. Tell people about the real estate that you want. Talk about all of that. You ain't just a 9 to 5er. Talk about all that.
I'm just a lowly 9 to 5 person. No, so I also have my consulting company where I work with primarily businesses, like smaller businesses, helping them with their legal needs and work. I have a partner, one of my law school friends that we partner with and help different clients. I've helped a number of people like from social media and things like that. When I first got into it, I was still working at Merrill and it was kind of taboo. So this is the thing with the financial industry that prior to me working in there, I did not realize how regulated it was, which you would never know by social media because everybody gives financial advice and just doing so much different stuff that is technically illegal, but that's not my business. So there was like kind of a lot of conflict of interest things that also kind of was like, if I really want to grow and help my community and really be of service to the people that I really want to help, I kind of had to get away from being in such a rigorously regulated brokerage. So that's how I got my consulting company. I work with a lot of single moms and just people who, just see what I was doing and, had questions and things of that nature. So like, okay, well, this is how I started. This is it. Like basically ABCs of investing. Like it's not as complicated as you think it is. So that's kind of one of my passion projects. I love talking to people about just getting into investing and just the basics of it because you don't have to go zero to Warren Buffett. Like you don't have to want to be Bill Gates, but you need to like know the basics of like financial education and how to set you and your children up for a good life in some capacity. So that's like really one of the interests that's near and dear to my heart. And then I guess what my business is, I kind of am, I guess, with a serial. I want to say entrepreneur because I'm not like a starter business from the ground up. I'm very much the smart way of doing things. So with real estate, I've always been interested in real estate, like even as I guess like a teenager, before I really knew what real estate was, like I was always like, okay, I want to build something like, oh, I would love to have an apartment complex right here that has like my last name on it or has something, on it. So I was like, well, how do I get into real estate? So I started, at the most basic level. I started with wholesaling. They taught me a couple skills, but again, I'm not a salesperson. Like I don't like the whole having to pitch people and all of that. Like, so I did a couple deals and then that was that. My first deal was absolutely terrible because I tried to wholesale in East Cleveland, which if you are from Cleveland, Ohio, that is a terrible area. So it kind of turned me off for a minute. I was like, man, this ain't for me, da 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 da. But then I like really just like, all right, well, let me just just to see it through. Cause I'm one of those type of people, like, I'm just like, I need to close something. Like, I have to close at least one deal. So pretty much use that capital, went in with one of my cousins, family member, or whatever, and bought a couple duplexes. And I mean, that was pretty much it. Just like a rinse and repeat type of situation. But I'm very much like super hands off. Like, that's how I prefer. That's how I am in most of my businesses. Like, I like to invest the capital, give a little, direction here and there, but I prefer to relinquish majority of my control just for the freedom and financial aspect of it. Like, I want to recoup the benefits, kind of the real, I'm the real passive. Like, I find a way to make any investment I do passive. So
Okay.
that's my MO when it comes to investing in general.
I have
a couple other things, but that's pretty much that.
Oh, we can get into those too, but I got questions now because first thing first, because I know everybody that's been to college. Do you think college is worth it?
Absolutely. My children have to go to college.
They gotta go. Ain't no option.
They have to go.
Oh.
They would have to convince me of something like really significant that why would you not go to college? Because I believe. Go ahead.
Now you went to college, but you everybody don't go to college. Be like, oh, I'll be a lawyer. Like, some people go to college, be like, oh, they don't even know what they want to do. They gotta go.
Yes, because number one, I feel so personally, on a personal level, I feel like there will never be a time in your life where you're able to just have that freedom, that those 4 years, like right out of high school. It's like you're still a kid, like you're grown legally, whatever. Technically, I was only 17 when I went to college, like just turned 17. So I'm out here in college, like I was only 2 hours away from home, but it was still just like, oh my God, like I'm out here just living life, like learning. Like, you just learn so much about yourself. You meet so many different people. Like, it's just such an indescribable experience that I want my kids to have. I encourage any young person to do it, because that period, that still, because you're still technically in my eyes in science, like you're still a child, like you're in adolescence, like your brain isn't even fully developed yet. So like you're still, at 18, do you really know what you want to do for the rest of your life? No. It doesn't matter whether you about to go into business or whatever. Like, you may get in the business and yeah, you're making money, but like at 25, what you gonna do? Or at 30, how are you still gonna feel about this business? Like, so even still, like, and you can always have a business. Like, you can have a business while you're in college, just say where you have a job or whatever. Like, I'm going to make sure my kids don't have to worry about money while they're in college. But of course, if you want to have a business and you're passionate about that, okay, yes, do that. I'm going to help you and support you and make sure you don't have to stress about it. But I want you to go to college for the experience. Like, you just never have that time period in your life again. Like, it's just, I don't know, it's just a once in a lifetime thing. Like, even going back, it's not about the degree, it's about the experience. At 18, 19, 20 years old, like, you just never get to relive that time in your life again. Like, sure, you can travel at 25 and 30 and turn up and do all that, but it's not the same. And I've done both, so it's not the same.
I'll agree on that aspect. The experience, even I went to like a smaller school for football, but yeah, the experience still worth it. I give you that. College, I reserve my opinions. Most people know how I feel about college at tune in, so whatever. But I want to talk about, so another question, because now I see financial advisor questions. Like, I can ask whatever, huh? Because you don't work there no more, so I kind of ask like, you answer what you can answer. I don't feel like you can. I ain't gonna answer them. But crypto, because I love asking people about crypto. First of all, what's your, like, are you investing in crypto? I'm assuming. Yes, no, maybe.
Yes. Like, I'm not a crypto like guru, wizard, all of the just basic Bitcoin, have Solana, have ETH, and I kind of stay away from like what they call the meme coins. Like I don't really.
Yeah,
I'm
I
the
don't really
same
do
way I
that either.
am in my business. Like I'm a buy and hold investor. Like even with my stocks and stuff like that. Like I buy companies that I believe in or that has already been around and has proven that they're gonna still be around. So I buy and hold. Like set it and forget it. Like buy it, do the dollar cost averages. Allocate a certain amount of money every week, every month, whenever, every payday, whatever, however you want to do it. And then just that. Like I don't even really check my portfolio that often. Like I'll see the different stock trends and like get news updates about that. But as far as like checking my portfolio, like I don't do that because that money, like I'm putting it aside to not really think about it. And I know it's growing. So it doesn't really
Okay.
even matter.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm
No, I
not a
just
charts like I hate
hey, it's
doing all
all
the
good.
charts
I
and trading
mean,
and all that stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I know the basics of crypto. Like I understand um the fundamentals of it, blockchain technology. But I mean, that's really it for me.
no, I get it. I get it. I get it. I got you. Now, what I really want to talk about, because you mentioned that you help out single moms do all this stuff. Like, talk about like what, like you just help them get invested. What even, I guess, drove you to that route or path or whatever you want to call it.
Um, so when I first started working at Merrill, so even before I started working there, like I was and like had started investing because just doing basic research, like I found out that a lot of companies have direct to consumer programs where you can buy directly in their stock, which one of those companies was Starbucks, which anybody that knows me knows I love Starbucks. So I was like, duh, like why would I not buy their stock? Like,
Sure.
so it kind of got um into basic conversations like that because again, when I was working at Merrill, like to open up a brokerage account there, you had to have a certain amount of income. And most people, especially Black people that I know, was nowhere near that. Like I'm like, dang, I can't help my people. Like I can't even bring in any clients of people that I know. I can't put them on. So then I started to just pretty much just share the information that I knew and that I was learning. So it was kind of like, well, how you doing this and how you getting into that? And I'm just like, it's just simple. Like first, at the most basic level, you need a budget. Like, what is your budget? Because I can't give you any type of financial advice if I don't know what your goals are. Like, everybody's goals is different. Some people want passive income, some people want just a valuable portfolio, some people just want all different things. So, that's number one why people shouldn't be given financial advice on social media because everybody's financial and risk appetite and everything else is not the same. So you can't really say what's going to work for one person is going to work for the next person. Like, yes, of course, basic financial education is definitely good to know, but at the most basic level, and I talk to people and I'm like, well, how much do you think that you could dedicate to investing in a stock? Like, could you afford $10 a week? And they're like, yeah, probably. I don't know. And I'm just like, have you ever sat down and wrote a budget? And they're like, well, I don't really have that much money. I'm like, everybody has a budget. Like, it doesn't matter how much money you make. Like, there's no such thing as you make too much money to have a budget. Like, everybody has a budget. And so just instilling those basic principles into people, like teaching people, like even rich people, like every dollar they have coming in has a destination. Every dollar is allocated to something. Is going to investments, is going to something, is going somewhere. Like they're not just getting money and just swiping their card because they know they got unlimited money. That's like not how you are ever gonna have any money. So just teaching like basic stuff like that. um and then I started to hear a lot of people say, well, I can't afford that, well, I'm not rich enough to do investing. I'm like, you don't have $100 a month, like you don't have $50 out of your paycheck, $25 of your paycheck that you can buy an index fund. So just like teaching people, like shifting their mindset to just understand, like stuff like that, because I wouldn't say that we were taught, but we have always been shown, and it has always been viewed like, oh, investors and hedge funds, and those are like super rich white people. Like that's just what it always, that's the image. Like that's what have always been portrayed to see. So now we're seeing more and more people that look like us and they're younger that is doing this. So it's like, well, oh, how are you doing this? How are you doing that? Oh, you got this. So you start with $100. Start with $100. So I like pretty much started this like challenge where you just start with $100 and put it in the index fund, and let's just see where it goes from there. So that's kind of, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much the basis of it. It's just like, let's just start with a basic amount.
Okay.
Like,
I definitely,
yeah, trying to meet people where they at.
No, that's definitely key, especially for like, I mean, Black people especially. I think we don't often even get exposed to that type of stuff. So the fact that it's just a chance for you to help some people out like that, and like I learned that even like I ain't no expert, I'm no financial advisor, none of that. But talking to people and understanding that a lot of people don't, they're not even at level zero. Like they don't even have no clue. Like they could even get going into like investing and building a future for themselves and stuff like that. And then when you finally like, it might take a minute to like get through to them. But like once they start seeing like, oh, it's possible, you start seeing results, you start looking at the numbers, it's like, oh, I'm actually like, I'm not doing nothing, but I am in a way, and I'm making money. It's like you start seeing it click in their head. And then that's not only something for them, but now that's something that they could take and pass down to their kids. And I mean, and that's how the whole
each one teach one.
You feel me? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like,
so now you're gonna go and talk to your mother or your sister or your niece or just whoever, like your friends, like y'all, you know, sitting at the bar, just whatever, like just anything. Like I done had the most craziest conversations about different finance and politics and type stuff, like being in social settings. So I know that people talk about this stuff, or people are is curious about this stuff. So when anytime anybody ever asks me about anything, even people that DM me, like I've never been one of those type of people that's like, oh, don't DM me, I ain't giving out no free advice or nothing like that. But like I'm gonna give you the real, like I can't just tell you I'm not gonna pick no stock for you. Like I don't do that. Number one, that's illegal. And with my license, like I can't say do this stock, because then if you lose money, you can technically sue me, and that's not about to happen. But just on a basic level, like, all right, you know, what you think about this or how this works, and just like helping them understand. Like most people don't even know their risk appetite or what their objective is. Like that's all. Like I always start there. Like, well, what do you want? Like you want to be rich? Okay, but do you want income? Like so that means you want dividend paying stocks, or you want dividend paying index funds? Like what do you want? Or do you just want to have a portfolio so when you retire, it's worth this much, it's gonna pay you out at the end? Like what do you want? You want to trade? You want to make money every single day? Like so, just yeah, it's a process, but yeah.
No, that's it. I ain't gonna lie, you just hit on something right there. That's important. Like that's important though, that people understand. Like for one, understand what your end goal is. I remember I was chopping up with you. That was the first thing you asked. Like I remember we talking about real estate. You like, what you trying to do with it though? Like, and a lot of people don't even think about that.
Same thing.
And it's like
same thing.
You gotta have some kind of end goal of mine. It's like, okay, I started this business, and my end goal for the business is really, truly, I just want to build the business to sell it. But a lot of people don't think like that. Like me, I'm a person. I ain't trying to be doing this forever. Like I'm more the person like I just want to run it up right now and go chill somewhere and duck off. But not everybody's like that. Some people, they want to be able. That's what I'm saying.
But they don't understand that, or they don't know how to, I guess, like communicate that, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There are plenty of corporations who do that. Like it's for that specific purpose. Like the same way with startups. Like they to go public and then sell or merge or do whatever. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you don't know what your end game is, then you may start off wrong. So the same way that you're going to build a business that you're about to sell is not going to be the same business that you would do. Like if you want this to be a family business that stays in your family for generations to come, like it's going to operate a little bit different. The systems and things that you have are going to be, you know, a little bit different. So you have to know your end game, at least like have some type of idea, like, what do you want out of this? Like, what is the purpose? What is your why? That's also a very great book.
That's a whole. Hey, hold on. Spend some game right now, because that right there, it took me like 5 years to figure that. Like, you have to understand, like, why you, like, what are you doing this for? And also, people don't understand, like, the importance. Like, I mean, that's what you do anyways. Like, planning. Like, it's not enough to say, like, oh, I want to just be rich one day, or oh, I just want to be able to chill in like 10 years. Like, you gotta, okay, so now you know that, but now you got to put together a plan to even get to that point where you can attain those, like, achieve those goals that you set. It's like people say, like, oh, what do you set goals for the year? I mean, that's fine. I can set my goals for the year, but okay, once I got these goals that I want to, you know, hit, how am I gonna hit them? Like, like, you can't just say, oh, I got these goals and then that's it, and you ain't got nothing to work toward, like, to build up towards that. Like, to me, I set goals and it's like, okay, I'm gonna set like these steps that's gonna get me to these goals. But then that ain't enough either, because now you got to go put in the work and go execute. Like, a lot of people, and sometimes that takes talking to a Christian and getting some game on how to set up things with your finances, or, you know, going and doing your own research on top of that, and understanding how the stock market works. You want to get into that, how crypto works, or just, okay, maybe I just want to get out of debt because that's my plan to start off, and then I'm gonna advance from there. Like, I've talked to people that have done it that way. Like, and you start learning as you go on. You learn more and more, and now, boom, you got out of debt. But now you're taking a step further. Okay, I want to get into investing. Okay, now I've invested a little bit. I want to start a business. Let me see if I can do that. And it's just like, now you have like a chain of things that are happening, all because you took a second to say, hey, let me go invest in myself and learn something after having a conversation with somebody. Because the conversation only is that, like, like we have a conversation right now. After this is over, if I don't go take this information after listening to this podcast and she over here giving y'all game, like, if you don't go do nothing with it, then okay, you just basically just wasted your time. You just listen in, tuned in, to say you tuned in. And a lot of people do that. They get that whole, like, shiny objects and they'll listen into something, and then they don't never even take a chance to go try it out and see if that's something that's even for them. Because this ain't for everybody. Like, I done did everything you could think of. I don't know how much stuff you done. I done the trading. I done trying to do 50,000 businesses just because I heard about them and it sound good. And then you realize that you're sitting there like, okay, I got to go to work, come home, do this. Okay, let me try to get a trade in here too. Like, you look up and it's like you're doing 30,000 things and you ain't really making no money from it. And you could have just focused in on one, and which is what I started doing. I just started focusing in on certain things. And now it's like the exponential growth is like crazy when you start focusing in. Like, so I don't know. That's my opinion on it. I think the whole point of knowing what's your why also helps with that, because it'll keep you going, keep you consistent, and it'll just keep you focused in on what you're actually trying to accomplish.
Yes, definitely. And you hit on like a really good point, which is like super trendy, especially with social media and especially on Twitter, like with people learning about different industries and then like gravitating towards it because the person is promoting like, oh, this is a 6-figure industry. Like, I mean, we see it all day, every single day. Various things, and people keep continuously get burnt out or they quit, and then the next thing pop up, and then the next thing pop, like, and it's just this continuous cycle. But that's why I hit on earlier about, I know my personality style. Like, I know how I am. I know what type of person I am. Like, I mean, I'm gonna call it a lazy investor. Like, you know, some people, lazy has a bad, you know, it has a stigma attached to it, but I don't care. Like, I'm the type of person, like, I want to invest my money and receive the compensation or the benefit of it without having to do all of the active labor sometimes. And there are investment vehicles that are set up for that purpose. Like, if you don't want to be an active real estate, they have REITs. Well, you know, real estate investment trust.
Trust. That's the stocks that you can
there are people, the same thing with hedge funds and the same thing with mutual funds and index funds. Like, there are people who love doing that, or they make so much damn money that they gonna do it. So they will sit up and trade and they'll watch the charts and they'll do whatever to make sure that this portfolio grows, because the more money they make, the more money the fund makes, the more money they make. So their whole goal is to make money off of whatever. Mine, you know, as long as they ain't scamming and stuff like that. But if you know that you don't want to look at charts and stuff, don't try to get into trading. Like, why would you try to do that? Like, I went to law school instead of medical school, even though I probably would have been an MD in another lifetime. But I don't like math. Like, I don't want to do that shit. So I don't have to do math. Like, there's no math law. I don't work in healthcare law. Like, there's like, even in finance, like there's very minimum math that, and we have systems and computers and calculators to double check everything. So there's no math that I have to do on my own part that's like, oh, I have to be such a geek about that. Like, I know my strengths, I know my personality style, and I know what I like. So I feel like knowing who you are as a person, like that's pivotal to your success in anything, and relationships and business and whatever you're trying to do. Because if you just like, oh, I'm gonna do this because it seems cool and that's what everybody else is doing, and they get a lot of attention and clout, and that's why you have so many famous and popular people that are sad and depressed, because you're like, yeah, this is cool, or I thought it was gonna be cool as everybody else was doing it, but I'm miserable on the inside. And like, yeah.
I mean,
so I implore people to spend time with themselves and like really just sit down and think, like, what do you like to do? Like, can you see yourself call day every day to people? Like, do you want to do that? Like, and I'm a licensed insurance adjuster. Like, and this was before like the whole big wave that it is now. Like a little bit, like right before it became like super blown up like it is now. But I don't like the whole, first of all, I don't like no type of customer service, like call center type jobs and stuff like that. Micromanagement and all that shit, I don't like. That's not for me. Never has been, never will be, whatever. But that is it's a great skill to have. Like if ever, I needed to whatever, like, and I've worked a couple of deployments and it was pretty good. Like the money was good, but long term, never. I can never see myself doing that long term. But I know me. And I'm able to recognize that.
Real quick, so the money is good in independent insurance. Because I done had a girl on here who does independent insurance, Justin. I had Adrian there. So the money is what y'all like. For everybody out there, just so I could clarify, because I mean I had her on there. She gonna hype it up. That's what she do. But
if you get a real good one, not all deployments play the same, but yeah, it's definitely some life-changing money, but that's money that you are definitely earning. Like, that's not passive. That's not something you could be lackadaisical about. That's not, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was just curious. But nah, you definitely hit on something. Because knowing yourself, I could definitely relate to that, because that one got me right there. Because at first, it's really just how, I don't know, it's a bunch of different things. Like you see social media, and social media, it's like they lifestyle marketing. Like they just gonna sell you the lifestyle that you want. So now you're thinking that, for one, you're thinking you behind, and it's something I had to learn. And I was talking to somebody the other day about this, and it's just like, so many people worried about, they compare themselves to everybody else, and they compare themselves to others, not understanding that it's just really you on your own path. Like, where are you supposed to be? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a determining factor of how much you're willing to work and put in to get to this point, but also at the same time, where you supposed to be 9 times out of 10. And it's a direct reflection of the amount of work and the amount of willingness and consistency how consistent you're gonna be. So I always tell people, like, stop looking at the next person. Because I mean, yeah, I got friends that's 35, that's millionaires, but I also got people I know that they just retired from their job at 25, and they got business that's doing 500K. So it's like, I'm not about to compare myself to neither one of them. I'm gonna just, at the end of the day, worry about, I personally better today than I was yesterday. Like, to me, that's how I live my life. Like, as long as I can get 1% better every day, I ain't reverting. I'm not regressing. But as long as you progressing each day, like some days you may do better than others, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, you got to make some type of progress every day. Otherwise, you're gonna get stagnant, you're gonna get complacent, or you're gonna regress. And at the end of the day, if you want like what you claim that you want, if you listen to this podcast, you claim you want to get wealth, you claim you want to make it happen, you claim you want to, you could be the person that you want to be, the lazy investor. You could be the active person out there really getting it, doing it, hands on, all full out. It don't matter, whatever route you want to take, you got to be consistent. and you gotta be willing to put in work. She ain't get here just because she was like, oh, I'm just going with the flow. I'm, whatever. Nah, got a few degrees. That in itself will let you know like the amount of consistency. Because let me tell you something, I ain't doing that. I got an MBA, I got a bachelor's, and I didn't want to get the MBA, but at that time in my life, I didn't know what the hell I want to do in life, and it was like, okay, let me just go do this, whatever. And I did that while I was working 3 jobs. Like, so everybody ain't gonna do that. So, and I don't even know. I think it's like an extra 2-3 years for law school, huh? Like 3, huh?
3 years full time.
Yeah,
I did 2.5 because I went straight through.
Oh, see, no, either way, you talk about extra 3 years. Nah, bro. Like, I'm not doing like no. Like, but that's just a different type. Like, you was committed to that. That's what you wanted to do. At the same time, you can't just say you want to go do it. Consistency. Year 1, cool. Year 2, all right, yeah, we in this thing. Now she finished. So at the end of the day, that's something I think a lot of people need to take into consideration. You need to understand yourself, and if that ain't something, everything ain't for everybody. Just because she's successful as a lawyer, don't mean I got to be successful as a lawyer. I could be successful as an investor. I can be successful as a business owner. I could be successful even in the 9 to 5. I mean, if that's what you really want to do.
Right.
I mean, to me, at the end of the day, if you're gonna do something, you don't half-ass it. That's just my personality. Like, I want to dominate or whatever I do. Like, I ain't got time. Like, if I'm not gonna be the best at it, then what am I doing it for? That's me though. Everybody ain't me. And I mean, that's probably my like sports background, like my competitive nature and all that, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? It might not matter to you if you're the best or not. I mean, I don't know. Everybody different. I'm not saying that you don't want to be the best. I'm just saying like it may not matter though. But I don't know. Like, I just say all that to say it's just about progressing every day, man. Like, that's the ultimate key to me to winning in life. Like, if you ain't willing to do, I mean, don't get me wrong, winning is relative to the person you're talking to. Being successful is relative to whoever you're talking to, all of that. True. To me, I know what success is to me, and that's, my last name, live on a legacy. My kids ain't got to worry about nothing. Their kids ain't got to worry about, like, it just whatever. Like, we set. Like, after I die, I want my family to be set. And I don't care, like, and that's a sick, I don't know, you got to be almost sick to be like an entrepreneur and think like that and you want to do that. Because it's a selfless thing, man. Like, you say you got properties. I think you was mentioning that you got, like you put that money in trust and stuff, right? Or something like that.
Yes. So that's what I used to start my daughter's trust fund, which I'm very much pro trust fund, baby.
But that's what I'm saying. So, like, yeah. I had somebody on here last year talking about estate planning. And I learned, like, I'll be taking notes when I talk to people.
Oh, I love
like, if everybody I'll be taking notes and I'll be sitting here like, bro, like, I didn't know nothing about estate planning when I talked to that lady. 28 years old. I ain't really know nothing.
Asset protections.
It ain't good to say.
All of that.
Let me tell you something. I want my kids to be some damn trust fund babies. I don't care. That's cool with me. Like, I don't care about people talking about they had the silver spoon in their mouth. I don't care. Like, that's what I want. But at the end of the day, like, even for you, a lot of people take that money, they might take it and use it for whatever they want to use it for. They might use that for like blow off money, whatever. It take a different type of mentality to take them funds and say, okay, I'm gonna set this aside for my future. Like, the people that's coming after me, I ain't touching it. Like, it just take a different kind of thought process, a different type of mentality. Like, I think, like, low key people, you looked at like you crazy, but that's what you got to be willing to do.
Understand it.
Exactly, that's what you got to be willing to
and
do.
I don't even think is that they. I mean, or yeah, they look at you like they crazy, but I really think that it's from a lot of people, and even like, I mean, you'll see it in the various conversations on Twitter or whatever. But I really think that so many people are just like financially traumatized and their minds just cannot conceptualize how someone could go from making $30,000 a year or less to making like 6 figures, mid 6 figures, upper 6 figures, whether it's in a certain career field or with business. And like, their minds literally is just so warped and just so we'll never be rich. Like, it's this whole whatever wall that's preventing us from ever reaching this level. And like, granted, there is some merit to the whole, why we are so far behind financially, but you're seeing, like, this is my whole thing. Like, you're seeing people that look like you that is doing this. Like, some people scamming, some people lie, some people putting up a facade, some people whatever. Like, I'm not the richest person in the world. I'm not the richest person even in my family. Like I'm just doing what I'm doing, or just basically what I know. Like I'm starting where I'm at. I'm using the information that I have learned so far, and I'm taking those steps. Like, granted, yeah, one day I probably will be the richest person in my family. Like I'm very much on track to do that because, like, I have a goal and a plan to make it happen. Like, and it's people that I talk to that, the people in my family that do have money that, they're like, oh, okay, well, I didn't even know about that part. So it's like things like that. But if you can't even visualize yourself, like people have these vision boards and stuff, but y'all just having vision boards to do what? Like you ain't really visualizing yourself in a better life. Like you just doing it just to be fucking cutting out magazine pictures and shit. Like you in kindergarten again. Like if you can't really see yourself walking into $1 million house or whatever success look like for you. But to say like, oh, I'll never be rich, or to have that mindset, like I'm never gonna have this, or home ownership, like people just can't even fathom owning their own home. Like that's such a far reach for people that is just, they're just already defeated. Like it's really crazy. It's really, really crazy. And it's almost to the same level, like the same way that they can't conceptualize, getting to the next level. Is like, I really can't worry about why your mind is like that, because the most I can do is show you what I'm doing, tell you how to get there, give you the game as much as I know it, and then leave it at that. If you don't follow it, or you just choose to just continue to have this mindset where you can't, then that my job, I was not put on this earth to be a preacher, a guru, and all this type of stuff to persuade and manipulate. It's not, it's kind of a certain style of manipulation to be a teacher, a leader, whatever. You get people to change their mind, influencer type, whatever. Like that's not my ministry. Like I'm here to live my life. If you ask me a question, I'm gonna give you, as much information as I have it, show you how to find more information, and just leave it at that. But I don't know. Like, I don't really even know how to help the people other than to help the kids. I start there, help as many babies as I can. You got to get to them before they get to a certain point. Because, kids think they know so much. When they get teenagers, they think they got life figured out, which, it's just kids
We
stuff.
all
But
been there, though. We all been there.
that's just that. But yeah, it's just really crazy how people's minds have psyched them out of success. Like they've already just determined, and they just know, like, damn, all right, I don't want to be Elon Musk rich. I don't want to be Jeff Bezos rich. That's not my goal. Not to say that I can't reach that, because I definitely can. Like I can. But I'm not gonna ever say that I'm not gonna be rich, like, or my kids are never gonna be rich or anything like that. Like, I don't know. I just can't imagine just speaking that over my life, or just no
That's one
type of success,
thing.
working until I'm dead, basically. Yeah, no.
That's one thing you kind of hit on, and it's like almost like people had this. It's like a crab in a barrel mentality, or they'll look at the next man and they'll think that, especially when you come from nothing, or where you come from, like, we'll just say like the lower income and the people that ain't never had much, and they'll look at you and be like, it ain't nothing that's possible. But then you go out and you do it, and they mad at you, and they looking at you a certain type of way. And the reason why, like, this is something that a lot of people probably not gonna like to hear, but the reason you looking at the person that came from the same spot as you, that made it, like, you looking at them foul in a messed up way, because they came from the same point as you. So it's something that's possible to get done. You just ain't do what it took. And that's on. And now you looking like, damn, this ain't even on. It ain't even nothing about it. It wasn't something that could be done. I couldn't get it done. So now that's like a shot to your pride almost when you see stuff like that. And that's why I think it's some people out here that's hating on the next man, our woman, or whoever that's coming up, because they see that and it's like it don't resonate in their brain. Like, we started at the same point. I ain't had no silver spoon or nothing. I got it out the mud from right here and made it happen. and you was at the same point and you couldn't. And you ain't even, and it's not even that you couldn't, you ain't even want to try. Like most people don't even want to put, like, take a chance on themselves. Like I always tell people, like, people think I'm crazy because it's like, oh, you do all this different stuff, but you make good money already. Like, why you do all these things? And I'm just like,
that's a boomer mindset right there. Like
I'm like, dog, it's bigger than that. Like for me, and people think I'm crazy. Like I'd rather take a pay cut to be able to do my own thing whenever I feel like doing it, whenever, like, than to sit here, go to a job that I hate every day. I mean, don't get me wrong, people cool and all, but like I'm an operations management, whatever. It's cool, whatever. But at the end of the day, I like working. That's one reason I like being in Dallas now. I get to see people that look like me. No offense to, there ain't nothing against white people and nothing like that. Just like it's something about being able to see people that look like you. And the fact that like last year, getting into this podcasting thing, I'm able to see I only bring on Black guests. And people was questioning that when I first came out. It's like, why you only do that? And I'm just like, bro, I don't care about the next person that's out here getting it. Like, don't get me wrong, I know a bunch of people that's not Black that's out here really making things happen that I'm cool with. But it's bigger than that. For me, it's being able to see somebody that look like me accomplish things, because I don't see it often. I don't see it a lot, and people don't understand. Like, we always think that's a main problem. We think we can't do stuff because hell, most of us ain't never seen nobody that look like us do it outside of playing ball, rapping, or entertainment of some sort. Like, nah, you could be out here and really get to it in a different way. You could go be an entrepreneur and run up a bag. You could go invest in the stock market or whatever. It's different options for you, different routes. If you want to go to college and get the degree, you could do that. If you want to go pick up a trade and learn how to do things, you can do that. You want to go be an independent insurance, you could do that. If you want to put in a little bit of work and do things, there's so many different ways to get money that it don't even make sense.
Exactly.
And I learned, and it's crazy.
It's so crazy. It's so much money out here.
This podcast showed me that though. Like, you couldn't have told me like 4 or 5 years, like I was like, okay, I'm gonna just like I got into crypto. That was my first avenue into like some type of money outside of like, your normal day job. And I wasn't making nothing, but I was disciplined enough and structured enough to start investing right at that point. And I like let that consume me, and that was cool. I was in a whole different like area outside of my hometown and stuff like that. And that's what I decided to consume my time with, outside of like the girl that I was with and stuff at the time. So it's like just being able to focus in on something like that and try something new, and just be open to trying something new. Like a lot of people not even open to trying something different. They want to go the same cycle, bro. I play football. People thought I was gonna go to the league. I didn't even care to go to the league, but only a certain percentage, bro. You talk about under 1% of people that's gonna make it pro. So then what's the rest of y'all doing? Like, what you gonna do after that? And I mean, that came to me, like I got to a point where I was like, college coming to an end. I'm like, damn, what am I gonna do? Like, because a lot of us don't think about that. You ain't got nobody even bringing that to your attention. Like what you gonna do if it don't happen? And even if you know you don't want to do it, you don't think about stuff like that. So it's like there's certain things you just got to take in and understand. Like, it's more to life than what you think that it is. Like, you can do things that you didn't even know was possible. You just gotta start exposing yourself to, like, just try things and expose yourself to information, because we got the internet, bro. It's like, it's no excuse. Like, I done been on the YouTube, Google University. I done been in it all. I done did the courses. Some of them were scams. Okay, oh well. I'm talking about $100 I don't waste it. So what? I waste $100 on dumber stuff. I used to buy J's and stuff and waste money. I don't even do that stuff no more. It's whatever. That's my choice. I ain't say you gotta go cold turkey like that, but everybody different. Do what you want to do what you can do, and whatever. That's fine. But it's too much information out here. You got podcasts like this. I mean, if you was to Earn Your Leisure, Black World Renaissance, I don't care. But whoever you want to listen to, there's plenty of platforms out here dropping game, got people on. You can take a traditional route. Like, you ain't gotta go do the entrepreneur thing. So that's why I say all that to say, just expose yourself to information and be willing to like accept something outside of what you used to. Because had I not been willing to, listen to the podcast or go to the networking events and get exposed to people that's out here really going crazy, and like, it's not just me hearing it no more, I'm seeing it in my face. That, like, last year changed my whole life, my whole mindset on how things work in this world. And it was because I started to actually get to interact with the people I've been listening to their podcasts or seeing them on social media. Because you don't know if that stuff real. And it's not till you actually get to sit down with them and talk to them on a one-on-one, and you realize like, nah, this is something that you could really do. And when I got out here to Dallas, that's when things changed. Like I was doing it on my own. I had to figure this stuff out mostly on my own. I had a couple people when I got up to Boston that had that stuff figured out. So it's just I'm not trying to run because this ain't about me. This is about you. But I'm just saying, like, y'all really need to like expose yourself and just be willing to just do something outside the norm that what you used to every day. Yeah, that's my rant. I ain't had one of them in a minute. My bad. Oh shit. Dang.
No, you're good. No, that's definitely important. Yeah.
I didn't think this was gonna be no mindset episode or nothing like that. Definitely didn't think that was coming.
Me either.
We were supposed to be talking about
But
Christian.
no, I'm happy because you gotta start there. Like you gotta just shift like your mindset to even think and be able to conceptualize that this is possible. Or like, no, like I always knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I just knew I was going to be a criminal prosecutor. Don't kill me, y'all. That was my goal. Like I was gonna be a criminal prosecutor, then I was gonna be a judge. Like I figured out like it was even at one point in time, like I was gonna go to the Navy because most judges have served in the military. Like I had knew that like as a kid, like just basic like research stuff like that. Like, but even as a kid, like I was seeking out stuff on my. I come from the hood. Like I grew up in the hood. Was raised by my granny. Yes, my parents was, active in my life and all that stuff like that. Very spoiled by my parents, my granny, all of that stuff. So have a huge family. But I've always been like a kind of like a self-motivated individual. Like I knew at 11 years old, like, oh yeah, I want to be a lawyer. You know how kids be like, oh, what you want to be? Oh, I want to be a doctor. Da, da, da. Like, no, I want to be a lawyer. And I went to school. I went to college, majored in criminal justice, got done, took some time off, had a baby, went to law school. And then, like, I didn't know that I would end up in finance and business until I was in law school, but I knew that I wanted to be a lawyer in some capacity. And I mean, just like basic stuff like that. Like, I mean, this, like being able to pivot and being adaptive to like just different things. Like, all right, yeah, you might have a plan or a path, but like being able to pivot and, just learn as you learn, adapt and grow. But, people be so locked in or they get sidetracked or, between 2012 to 2016 when I went to law school, between undergrad and law school, is like anything could have happened. And like I could have got deterred and was like, no, I ain't gonna do it. Like, no, I was literally, my daughter was born January 27th. I took my LSAT, which is the entrance exam to get in law school, February 7th. So that's like a week and a half later after having surgery, set for that exam for, I don't even remember how long it was, but it was some hours. I had to sit there, focus on this timed exam, and got into law school. Like, so it's really about like what you said, just consistency. And I mean, if you want to do it, you're gonna do it. Like I didn't have a trust fund. I didn't have no rich parents. I didn't have anybody that helped me buy a book. I had to tell my teachers I have financial aid. I have to wait for my financial aid. I'm waiting for my refund check to come before I can buy my books. And anybody that has ever been to law school know, like, they cold call on day one. Like, you get your syllabus a couple weeks before, a week before, you're supposed to buy your books, do the reading assignment before the first day of class. Like, no, I'm in there. Let me talk to you right here, right now, let you know. I'm not rich. I don't have whatever, any of that. Like, my books have not came yet because I had to wait till the first day of class to get my refund check to buy my book. But I'm gonna catch up and I'm gonna be actively participating going forward. But no, like, so you just really gotta, that determination. Like, if you really want something, you can do it. Like, and people do that with anything, everything else in life. So why not dedicate have that same discipline and focus and tenacity when it comes to being successful or making some money a legitimate way? or finding your passion, like, because it's so like we done said, like it's so many ways to make money. Some of it's easier than others, depending on your personality style. Like sales comes easy to some people. It's easy for them to go sell $1 million life insurance policy, or to go sell and whatever, doing wealth management, or just doing whatever. Like if that's just what you like doing, like you like talking, you a talkative person, you're charismatic, you whatever, go be in sales. Like there's so many. It's every industry has sales, just like every industry has lawyers. So, I mean, it's just really people just gotta step out their comfort zone and explore the world. Like meet people, talk to people, go outside. What they say, what the kids say, touch grass. Like they gotta get outside, get off of social media, and just go to some networking events. Like I know we still in a pandemic, but shit, the
Texas, it
world
ain't
is
no
open.
pandemic.
Go outside, man. What's the pandemic?
I'm about to say,
But yeah, like
it was full tilt out here. But I got a question. This is my question because before I get to the last segment, just give somebody, for anybody that's just getting started on their financial journey, trying to get to the path of even thinking about building wealth. What is like one tip you give them to get started on that?
I'm gonna say budgeting and dollar cost averaging.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say dollar cost averaging. Like that is a game changer for me. Like when I learned that you could basically buy stocks on a payment plan, like that was like,
yeah, they done made it easier now because you can get,
I don't
most
have
people
to put
like there's people that offer
it's
called like fractional shares too. So like it's a
yeah,
whole
and
bunch
then
of different ways.
fractional shares, that kind of tie together, because like technically you buying a fractional share unless the stock is, there are plenty of stocks that are $12, $10, $15. Like I think when I first bought Gap stock, it was like $12 before they collab with Yeezy, or Kanye and Yeezy. But it's so many stocks. Like I think AT&T stock is like 20 something dollars or something. Like it's so many stocks that are like affordable, but people don't even like take that initiative to even look at it. Like, oh, you think that what I'm gonna do with a $25 stock? Like that's a start. Like that is a start. Guess what's gonna happen? If you bought that $25 stock at least twice every month, you put $25 into the stock twice a month. So that's $50 a month or $100 a month. Guess where you're gonna be at next year? How many shares you gonna have next year? Like that's the type of like stuff I'm trying to get people to do, because you can't worry about somebody that's dumping $100,000 in, or I just put 50K on Tesla. I just did this and I just did that.
Exactly. Like, that's bad. That's the thing, because people will do that, especially you. I ain't no Twitter person. I ain't get on Twitter until to end of last year, really. I had to think back
I've been
in high
on Twitter
school
for a long time.
I had Twitter back in high school.
Like it
when
Twitter
first
was crazy
came out
for a minute with the financial advice and all of that.
Like I didn't even know
had
Twitter.
a course about everything.
Man, I didn't know that whole
crazy.
money Twitter, LLC Twitter, all that existed. I was on Twitter back when it first came when I was in high school. I was on for like a year and that was it. Then I come back, I'm like, dang, what is all this? Like, I didn't even know this existed. So but if y'all, we ain't gonna get into the whole spill about stocks, man. If y'all want to go listen in about stocks, I got an episode, I think it was like episode 6 with my boy Zay. We did a whole intro.
But I guess that would be my thing. Like dollar cost averaging is your friend. Like you don't know where to start. You don't have a lot of money. Start with, first of all, you got to have a budget. Like that's why I said budget first, because you can tell somebody allocate this certain amount of money every month towards stocks, but if every month your budget might change or something, like, oh, you don't know where this money gonna come from. Like that's why I tell people to start with a budget, because most people don't even have a budget. Like that's the first step in your plan of like what they say, you plan to fail, you whatever the shit, you know what I'm saying.
You fail to plan.
And so Yeah, like if you don't even know how much money you got coming in to know how much you can spend on X, Y, and Z, like you already behind. So start there because that may be you're gonna look at your budget like, damn, I actually got more money coming in than I thought, but I spent it on whatever. So all right, I'm gonna take whatever less money from whatever and put it towards something else.
Okay. And I'm about to get on to this last segment. I do want to thank you for coming on, dropping your game. I don't know. We may see her back on. We may not. We don't know. To be determined.
Oh,
working on some things in the future, man. But I definitely want to say thank you for coming on. I didn't think it was I don't do no scripts. You can attest to that now. I don't do no scripted nothing, man. I just let the conversation flow and it go where it's gonna go. So, and I mean, to me, it meant for better conversations. And then get people the real, man, because that's what people want at the end of the day. And so I just want to thank you, Christian, for coming on, dropping the game. But I'm definitely got one more segment. It's real quick. Let's the talk to the culture segment, man. I run on 5 questions. Answer to the best of your abilities. And boom, we out.
Is it like quick?
I like it to be quick, but it never is.
Okay.
But we're going to see. First question, what does wealth look like to you?
Wealth looks like, my kids never having to worry about money. Like family trust on top of family trust. This money is like tucked, like my last name means something.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I had a call.
All good. Next question. Book recommendation. I just need one.
Just at any point, just anyone.
Any book recommendation?
Why should white boys have all the fun? That's one of my
favorites. That's a good one, y'all. That's a good one.
And specifically because I love the name, just like literally, why? Like they doing it, we can do it too.
Next question. I tell it to Black people, as you know. So I always ask my guests, I gotta ask them, what's one thing you think the Black community needs to improve on?
So much, but off the top of my head, I would say just being on one page or one accord when it comes to our goals. Like we think that wealth and getting money is at least the first step, which anybody with any sense knows. Like you can't affect any change without any money. Because without money, you don't have no leverage, you don't got no political power, you don't have no capital, like you have zero, literally nothing. So I would say we got to get on one accord and understand like what's the first step to really affect any change, which is money. I'm gonna just say it's money, but we got to get everybody to the same accord. Okay.
Next question. What is next for you? What you got planned next? Like next 2 to 5 years. What's coming?
A lot. I'm so very excited. So one of my babies, my business, my med spa, we are expanding.
See, we didn't even talk about that. See, you didn't even want to mention that. See, you ain't mention.
We will talk about that next time. So you got to bring me back. Okay, I'll have some better updates next time. Okay. But yeah, so I have a med spa with one of my friends in Cleveland, and we branched out to some recovery homes, which people that's in the cosmetic industry and lane, they know what those are. So we're expanding to mobile IV. So I'm very, very excited. Like this is a business that I am actively involved. Like I'm not a passive, lazy investor in this business, like my other ones.
And that's the people that's out here getting like BBLs and all that stuff.
Just any ones, but yes.
Okay. So I gotta know because I'm just.
Yeah, I mean, but the mobile IV service is going to be for everyone. Like it's just literally for anyone. So I'm very excited. I love this business. I love all things beauty, all things, anything comes to women and maintenance and beauty and upkeep and self-care. So I love this business. I love this industry. Kind of got drug into the plastic surgery or cosmetic part of it. And then the more I learned about it, the more I fell in love with this. So I'm very excited for the future of that business. And then I have a couple other things that I'm working on that by the end of the year, I got some really, really, really big plans for 2022. So just stay tuned.
No, I remember you said that because I'm pressing everybody. Everybody want to press me about my cleaning business. I'm pressing everybody. So I'm checking in with all y'all. I need to see some results. So it's gonna come back. I'm gonna come find everybody that's been talking. We're gonna come back. It ain't nothing personal, but we're gonna run it.
No, I need that.
2022, we're gonna run the year, and I'm gonna come back and find everybody that came on this platform and said they're about to do something, and we're gonna be like, hey, what's up? That's what it's gonna be.
I got you.
Last question. Anybody that want to go, check out Christian, find out what you got going on, hit you up, contact you, get a hold of you. You ain't got no course. Unfortunately, you don't have a course. You ain't selling nothing interesting enough. But for those people, like, man, I want to tap in. I mean, see what she talking about, and see if you just want to DM her maybe. How can they find you? How can they get a hold of you? Social media, Instagram, Twitter, all that. Where can they find you?
Well, Twitter at @chocolaterain__. And on Instagram, according to Christian. And then on there, you'll be able to see the website to my consulting business. So if anyone needed or wanted to work with me in any capacity regarding their business and getting their business set up and pretty much A to Z with business, from literally setting up your entity, walking you through those steps, compliance, making sure your paperwork is in order, helping you get business funding and credit and all of that type of stuff. Like literally, we do all of that. So that's Carrington Consulting Company. And that's pretty much it. CarringtonConsultingCompany.com.
We'll have all that in the show notes, people, because I know how y'all get, man. So I'll have all that in the show notes. She'll be able to hit up for any needs, business-wise, or whatever. You can hit her up, contact her. Be respectful. I always say that for the women that come on. Be respectful.
I know, because I ignore people.
Are you just going to get ignored? Whatever. That's fine. But once again, I want to thank you for coming on. Like we always say on this podcast, man, we're good at success if everyone around you is still struggling. Each one reach one, each one teach one, man. This is another episode. Appreciate you, Christian, for coming through, dropping game. We are out.
Thank you.